don't want to go. We just wrote this all down, so we got her. Hey, Jason.
Hey.
I texted you.
I dropped one today.
Okay.
I meant to text you and say, hey, I dropped one off and stuff. Well,
You guys are
There's something you were out on your scooter. I don't need to come on your
are
scooter.
we ready online? Yeah, okay. All right,
it's hard to.
everyone, welcome to the Moab Tourism Advisory Board 2026 Budget Workshop. It's Tuesday, September 23rd, 3 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Let's do some introductions. My name is Wendell Williams. I'm the vice chair, standing in for Lori McFarland, who is the chair, who is online. If we could do everybody introduce themselves and their affiliation with the MTAB.
And Alex Borchewski, I'm board member. Howard Trenholm, board member.
Barb Phillips, board member.
Sharon Kinsley, board member.
Jason Taylor, board member.
Vika Metzner, Director of the Moab to Monument Valley Film Commission.
Allie Harford, Moab Office of Tourism.
Brian Martinez, Grand County Commission.
Nick Salado, Moab Office of Tourism.
And then online, if you want to start, Laurie McFarland, are you there?
Yep, Lori McFarland, MTAB member.
Right, and Rebecca,
Rebecca Monso, board member.
and then we also have Madden here today. Representing Madden is Caitlin.
Yes, Caitlin Green, Madden Media.
Okay, and is that it? Online? Great. So there's a agenda here, basically. Oh, sorry, are there any citizens to be heard? Don't see any here, so, okay. So we have a few things to get through. I know that we're always, yep. What's that? We have somebody else online. Oh, do we have citizens online? Yes, are there any citizens online that would like to be heard?
Stop.
That's just, that's just listening. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So we're always pressed for time. I know there are a few people that need to leave early today, so we'll just try and keep it moving. We've got Madden here today. Thank you, Caitlin, for coming in, basically to give a very preliminary overview of their proposal for 2026. We'll then go through the Moab Office of Tourism 2026 budget, the Moab to Monument Valley budget, and then lastly, we'll go through the preliminary 2026 TRT, TRCCA budget recommendation that we need to send through to the commission. Really quickly, now we've all had the budgets for a few weeks now, so hopefully everybody's had a chance to look through them. No questions were sent to us in advance, so if I could allow Allie, Mick, and Vika the opportunity to speak uninterrupted to present their budgets. Save your questions. Some of those questions might be answered when they present. Take notes, and then we can have all those discussions at the end. Also, this budget's a little backwards. I mean, typically you have a director come in here and present their strategy for 2026. And then basically talk about the marketing necessary to achieve that strategy. So for example, they could say, we'd like to increase the European market by 2%, particularly UK. These are the strategies we want to do that. And this is the marketing we need to do that, to support that. And this is the budget we need. Or, this area of our tourism economy is flat, to increase growth back to 2019 levels. This is the strategy behind that, the marketing and advertising necessary, the budget required to do that. We don't have a director right now. Instead, the Vika and Allie and Mick have been working under this kind of blanket 6% growth target from us, the board. And I commend them for all the work they've been doing. So there has been kind of a lack of strategy for a while, an overarching strategy, but I think we're on the right track. I think all of us can feel the momentum going. We've got everything in place. We've got great agencies representing us. These guys are doing some great work. So I'm impressed and really excited about 2026. Moab is really busy right now. This is the busiest September I can remember in some time. And I would like to think give credit to some of the work that these guys are doing here. So that being said, I'd like to thank Allie, Mick, and Vika for the work you guys have done on this budget. Working without a director is not easy. And I know, Mick, you've mentioned it's also been kind of an accounting process, Allie, going through and actually looking at real spend. So thank you guys for the work you guys have been doing. That being said, again, keep your questions after each presentation. I'm going to give it to Madam, but first I'm just going to have Brian speak really quickly on the overview of the 2026 TRT budget.
Yep. I wanted to try to add this to the packet, but I didn't get it till today. So just real quick, hold this up real fast. We got the totals of what our projections are, and these are rough projections right here, for 2026. So what we're looking for TRT projection is gonna be 8,153,618 and that's including the 4.5 right there with that increase. And that's gonna break down to a promotion spend of 3,623,830, right? And then a mitigation spend of 4,529,777. Did not get a projection on the TRCCA. So that's where we're at with that. Also, we'll be having, it looks like that we're gonna have 3.41 million in our reserve account as well. For 3.41 million for 2026.
Okay.
And so that's where we're sitting at, and then that would mean that the estimated fund balance limit would be at 4.07 million. So our fund balance would not be able to go over that 4.07 right there. And then historically, this comes from Gabe here, is historically this department has underspent on its budget. So he would recommend overspending at least by 1 to 1.5 million to go into the reserves. Just because we are still close to that upper limit right there. It would just take, a $600,000 misspend and then we would be non-compliant.
Great. Yeah, I think a lot of the budgets haven't been spent in the last couple of years. So you and I have talked about it, and so it's the reserve keeps building. So we're now, I think, at a place where we have the proper things in place we can spend it appropriately. Great. So that being said, if I could turn it over to Madden or Nick, if you want to do the introduction to Madden, or, yeah.
And Caitlin, are you on?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining. This is Caitlin. She's our media buyer at Madden. She works closely with Leslie. In anticipation of getting the budget ready, I asked Leslie to put together a recommendation for 2026. This was based on the RFP that we recently did in 2025, and then the last 6 months of placing ads and kind of what we've seen thus far. So Caitlin will review it, and we can ask questions and make adjustments. I would also note that the first paragraph of this document notes that we realize that we're getting together a paid media line, but that Madden will be here in November and will present a full media plan for 2026 with more detail. So with that, Caitlin, please.
Thanks, Mick. Yeah. So for 2025, our focus was awareness and data-driven media. So we really focused on creating a widespread of impressions throughout the paid media landscape. Our key strategy was to utilize data to define audiences, moving forward to broad approach to more precise audience. Our goal has been to ensure we hit the right audience at the right time with the right message. Moving into 2026, we would like to evolve the media strategy by expanding our awareness to more lower funnel tactics, but also being able to create some user-generated experiences with website content support, creating some SEO, content briefs, content creation, and some new landing pages to really drive the traffic down in the right messaging to the website. Along with that, we would like to increase and add in email marketing to really help support the messaging in creating a funnel to have them code down a little bit further down the budget line of creating audiences that are more nurtured. And then again, we would create a Voyage data services, account and design support, and media management. Our media line bucket is 1.2 million in paid services, in paid media.
Thank you. I can add a little bit more color to what Caitlin was talking about. The way we've been thinking about this sort of internally is we're spending all of this money placing digital ads and driving to the website, and then we are either driving to the homepage or specific pages. But if we have particular messages that we want to deliver or outcomes that we want, we could develop further. We have someone's attention, they've clicked. We should have a more focused message on the website with call to actions and things that we could drive to either, bookings or visitation in some way. So that's the idea with a further investment in the website development, content creation, briefs, etc. Email marketing, we have a really good response in requests for our travel planner. And that's an opportunity to collect first-party data. So we get email addresses, we get the time that they visit. We recently started asking for what age they are, and then additional interests. Since we have their email address and we have a little bit of information about them, the email marketing support would be an opportunity to deliver a custom message to that person, delivering them more specific information about what they're looking for. It's not something that this office has done previously, but it's pretty typical approach. It's considered really valuable when you have that amount of attention and first-party data. So to utilize that more is the thinking there. The data investment, you'll note in the paragraph that our Symphony data is set to expire in June of 2026. We as an office have decided to continue using that data through June 2026. And we've been talking with Madden about their data support. So this investment is really shifting some of that funding to Madden, and then them having direct access to data to make informed business decisions. Heather Molina from the Madden team oversees data, and she'd be working with Caitlin and Leslie as they're placing ads to hit our goals and our targets. So that's a little more detail there. And then the media spend is something this office has really focused on in the past, right? We're like, we should spend this much in ads. So they've budgeted 1.2 million for media spend. I've been really impressed with the breadth of the media plan as opposed to what we've done previously. We may have 4 or 5 tactics in the past, and we're working in a lot of different areas and with a lot of different ads. I know that this board has weighed in on that number in the past. This year, I think our media spend was closer to 2.4 million. That in part was because of we were looking at the reserve account. But this is more in line with what we've spent in the past. It's actually about $400,000 more than we've spent in the past. So with that, we can answer questions now.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Caitlin, can you explain to me the account and design support of 96,000? I'm just not understanding that. I thought that would have been included in the 10% that was for the media management.
Yes, the funding here is because we're creating more landing pages and more support for the additional work versus the media specific buying and optimizing. So that would be an additional support. We have an account strategist, an account manager, and all of the creative that goes behind the work in creating those landing pages and content briefs.
And is that broken out in the contract right there? Or would this have to be an amendment to the contract?
I believe that would be an amendment to the contract, the original contract.
Okay.
I think we should check with Leslie on this.
Yes.
We could follow up an email. My understanding is that as we onboarded this year, we really bumped up against the amount of support they provide in developing ads. And anything from like weigh in on the special event committee, all the things we've asked of them.
Yeah.
is, when we pay the 10% on the media, that's really kind of Caitlin's team, but we've really relied on other facets of that support. And so Leslie, Heather, Kristen, and creative.
Okay.
And so I think Leslie's anticipating, or she wants to budget for this, and she said that if we don't use this amount, it could go into paper. Yeah. But as we continue to make these requests, or we continue to, and it's been great support. It's developed a good ad campaign. We've been able to respond to board requests and commission requests because of it. But if we don't tap into that, we could use it in other ways.
Understand that. Cool. And then second, how are we looking for content? Is there anywhere that we have for content creation inside of here, or what are your suggestions for that?
Yeah, so that is in the account and design support. So if you go a little bit further down on this breakout, it has the content, oops, go a little bit further up, sorry. The content briefs. It's in the bucket. Oh, here, yeah, the content creation at 32,670, that includes the creation of content for AI optimization, along with staging and publishing the content, which is approximately 22 hours, along with the briefs that we will be sending over, and that would have per month support of overall strategy for what we would like to support each month.
I think what Brian's asking is what kind of content is being covered here? Is it photos? Is it video? Is it text? Is it what type of content?
It would be website content for landing pages on your website to continue that journey through paid media. So if we have an ad focused on family, we would want to create that landing page to have a curated message for family.
Yeah, and we have gone to a couple of SEO meetings with what's his name,
Dylan.
Madden, and talked about like how to create content that AI would pick up when people are Googling like what is there to do in Moab, then it could pick up one of our articles. And so that would be definitely a collaboration with our office, like making that, and it would mostly be this kind of like blog content that could then get picked up by search filters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dylan at Madden is another, he runs web support, and we haven't tapped into that aspect of their firm. And so that's all of those bullets, enhanced SEO, content briefs, content creation, campaign landing pages would be supported by his team. Was your question about like the actual, like what we're saying? Like the messages, or?
The messages and also the imagery. Like, right, like I know that we are pretty poor on imagery right now in this office. And I'm just wondering where, because I didn't see it really inside of the budget, your budget, or I'm not seeing it in this budget, but I would just hope that somewhere we're gonna be addressing maybe,
Yes,
what
we're saying.
Yeah, like what we're saying and what the content is.
Yeah.
So Madden proposed, this year, they came up with a content, or a campaign proposal. We had those two decisions, Ascend and Edge. And that was what it would look like, what we would say, and we picked a direction. It's not outlined here, but I think it would be built. We do need to either evolve those ads or develop new ads. Until we get our next campaign from Camp 4, which will be late in 2026. So that will really inform what we're saying, right? But we're not going to be getting that content until August, September of 2026. So we need to talk with Madden now to November, when they're presenting, about our desires to either evolve the ads we're running, and we've seen some of that creative through June of next year, and how much investment we want them to make in terms of time in that. So that could be that the creative group comes back and comes with another proposal, and we can also look at our audiences, like Caitlin's saying, and maybe we think we want to lean more into marketing to families and developing more of that content. And then we will need to look at, the costs of that. Like you said, we are really limited in the photos and videos we have. So we don't have a lot of pictures of families recreating. Do we need a small photo shoot for that to make it through 2026, or do we hold off June 2026, or do we hold off? So I think we'll get more color on that as Madden comes up with more of a plan for 2026 and presents November, but if you feel like we need to budget for that.
I mean, just my personal thought is I would put it in the budget. You know, I think that if we're lacking photographs, let's plan for it right now. And if it comes up that we decide that, or this board decides that they want to stick with what direction we're going, you can, just the same thing that we're doing with the account and design support services, you can put that into paid advertising later. But I think that specifying that we are gonna need some new pictures now is a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. You're right that the mounted budget doesn't include like photos and imagery, and usually we've done that through our creative services budget line. So yeah, we would definitely love to have a little bit more funds to do photo video projects.
Happy to help permit them. And it was actually something that was 2.5 years ago on like an actual thing to get more assets for this, and then it just.
We just want to be reluctant to
Yeah.
spend too much when we're spending in a big way to get a full branded suite of imagery and
Right.
strategy. So we definitely want to keep advertising and keep rolling those out through June, but we're not gonna want to make a lot of investment. We'll want to be really strategic about what that is.
Questions?
I got a question on just the email marketing. I understand the old travel council. Is there like a history or log of old a database of old emails and such? And I guess
Yes.
just curious about like how many do we have, and like what's in stock right now, and then like moving forward, what are we trying to gain?
Yeah, so the travel council used MailChimp for a while. And then they switched to an email platform called Emma. And there were about 4,000 contacts in there. Most of them were from international markets. So that email marketing was really only used to speak to like international travel agents and tour operators and people who travel council staff had met at these like travel shows. Now we're back to MailChimp because it provides better automation. And so what we're doing now is we get probably like a couple hundred email addresses from visitors who are asking for travel planners every month. And they, oh yeah, sorry, per week. Couple hundred a week. And so we put those into MailChimp, and then I have automations running that send them like a welcome email when they're here, and then like a month after they've marked that they were planning on visiting, then I send them another one that's like, thanks for coming to Moab, here are some other things that you know maybe you missed. But that's kind of the extent of what we're doing right now. Email marketing is really useful, so it'd be really nice to have more capacity for that.
Yeah, so I guess what else, what else is Madden suggesting that is just the marketing support? I guess just a little more specific of like what goes into enhancing the visitor experience and with that marketing campaign.
Yeah, it really, oh, go ahead.
I was saying, can you speak to that, Caitlin?
Yeah, so it really helps with the first party data to really drive that audience, but it brings that onboarding and that welcoming messaging to continue on for the audience to know that keeping Moab top of mind is really important for the destination.
I'd say also Madden's
like
running ads to
So like-
offer the mailing of the travel planner, so we could get even more addresses than we're getting now. The other thing I'd say is a lot of times people think of email marketing for their business, and you want to collect a lot of email addresses, and then you have an audience and you're speaking to it. I think, you know, people are asking for a travel planner saying I'm coming in June, and then they're gone, and I don't know how valuable that is. You know, we could do a follow-up email, we could email the whole list, but I think the value is really in that we know when someone's coming, and we could drive additional messages. For example, if somebody comes in, and we see that most people come here to go to Arches and they leave in a day, and we start talking about all the other things you could do. Before they come, maybe they're gonna start to plan an extra day, or they'll plan an extra night.
Right.
And we'll have control over that messaging and direct communication with them via this, and Madden will support that. I think in here there was it changed.
So Ally, will you then still do the MailChimp marketing? Or
Yeah,
would Madden be taking over on this?
yeah, we would work together on it. I mean, I don't have a ton of capacity to do it really well, and so I think Madeline would take over, or like be able to kind of lift that up, but we would definitely work together.
Yeah, being able to nurture those leads. And we also, like Mick said, we also have some social lead gen ads that go into that list. So really continuing to nurture not just, downloading a newsletter, but also creating a content piece is really important for them to stay top of mind.
Yeah, and I think it's important too, like all the leads that we get from the travel planner are the same email addresses that I send out to local businesses. And so if we can kind of like tell a consistent story and, someone's gonna sign up for our thing and then get a bunch of emails from Moab. And then if we can also provide kind of a structure for that or some sort of like consistent, here's what Moab is, we're excited for you to come, that'd be really helpful.
Relatively inexpensive.
Questions, comments?
Sorry.
I said it relatively inexpensive.
And in my recent travels, I have to say that Canyonlands is the unsung hero. If those who have gone, Arches was really cool, but I mean, isn't anybody talking about Canyonlands? That's internationally and domestically.
Yeah.
I got just a question on the just the Voyage data service and Voyage Signal. Just curious a little bit about how they'll be better than Symphony and moving platforms. I guess what's the difference?
I think the big difference is that Heather Molina at Madden will be overseeing this and and looking at the data and then reporting it out to us and to the Madden team. Right now, Symphony sits, you have to go in and you have to access it, right? We had a staff member in our office that did data, Ben, and Alter, and this will streamline it.
It was a little clunky, but Symphony.
She'll be able to say that, I mean, I've asked, when we move from Symphony, what won't you be able to do anymore? And the answer I've gotten is nothing. So this is really just migrating this over. One big concern from them was the Visa View data because it's very expensive, but we get that really inexpensively through the state. It's about $5,000 a year as opposed to 30 plus what other destinations put. So we can plan to continue to invest in Visa View through the state, and then Heather will just pipe it into their systems. They could speak more eloquently about the Voyage systems. I haven't used them, so I can't really say what else we got. But what I see is really just that another Madden team member is going to have access to this data and is going to be feeding it into our decisions. So whether that's the ads we're placing, the traction we're getting,
versus somebody from your office going into Symphony and trying to download everything and put it in perspective and then talk to them.
Yeah, right.
Which just isn't really how
More streamlined.
Caitlin, can you speak to how you've worked with Voyage data services?
Yeah, you hit it right on the nose. It really gives us that high level showcasing where the consumer is coming from, where they're spending their money with the Voyage. And Leslie has also put in, we have a new partner here with Voyage Signal, which enables us to identify website visitors who later joined and went into market to show that strengthen our ability to measure and maximize performance. So we're able to really see where these consumers are coming from on their website and if they came to market.
Honestly, we haven't, as I understand it, we haven't had a lot of success with geofencing tools in the past. So I'm personally a little skeptical of it. That's partially because we don't have great reception here. It doesn't capture international. So then all these questions come up and we can't answer it through these geofencing tools. So I would qualify that that, we've had those problems with other geofencing and tools in the past, but again, you know, we can invest in this and really lean into that and support to say, what can we get out of this and make that initial investment. We could forego the signal investment and pick it up later, or we could, you know, we could go with it and we could cancel it if it's not working for us.
Great, thanks.
What else? Great. Caitlin, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Caitlin.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Bye.
Next on the agenda, we have the Moab Office of Tourism 2026 budget review. Just a note that the documents that were online are different than the ones that were handed out last week. So if you made notes on last week's documents, they're different than the ones that were, so. And with that being said, I'll pass it over to Ali and Nick.
Tag team this as we go on. Okay, so this 2026 budget is all coming out of Fund 2020 or Fund 23. And it also only speaks to like the 3A section of our TRT law, which is establish and promote tourism. And so we can just go through it here. So salaries and benefits comes from HR. Our dues and memberships, I'm gonna go through our supporting documents because I listed everything out. Dues and memberships, we subscribe to Condé Nast, Outside, Wall Street Journal. Those are like our 3 publications that we subscribe to just to stay on top of travel news. The Travel Industry Association, International Inbound Travel Association, and US Travel Association. Those all, they run travel shows and they also provide like webinars and we get their newsletters. And we also subscribe or we're members of the Outdoor Industry Association because they have really useful recreation data that we use just to track trends and things like that. Travel, we're planning on attending a number of travel shows. So there's Trav Media, which Campbell talked about. That's like a PR show. Go West, the Simple View Summit. Simple View is our website provider. IPW, Brand USA Travel Week, Esto, UTIA, and then I also have a couple UOT sales missions on here. And travel to Salt Lake City. And then if we want to do any of our like travel shows with our opt-in, I included one of those too. The opt-in with UOT has a number of different shows you can go to. They're going to Sydney this year. I don't think we'll go to Sydney because that's like a snow focus. But I put those in there and then also just extra taxes and fees because when I calculated all of our estimates for travel, I didn't include taxes. Okay, so equipment, we have a monthly car payment, and I found all of these by like literally printing out our ledger and going through and circling monthly expenses because we haven't historically been great at keeping track of our budget, and so this is all like real expenses that we expect for 2026. Utilities, that is just another county line, so we're just keeping the same number that was budgeted in 2025. Professional and technical services, this line is changing quite a bit because we moved a couple things out just to keep them organized, and so the only professional technical services we're expecting to use are MailChimp and CrowdRiff. I kept MailChimp at the like 5,000 contact level because a lot of people will add them and then they unsubscribe. Maybe we can bump that up if we have like a really awesome stellar newsletter. But CrowdRiff is like a social media tool that we utilize a lot. It lets us see what people are posting about Moab, and we also use it on a lot of pages on our website because it lets you create like custom Instagram galleries and then embed those on the web page. So I think we use it on like the Dead Horse page and it shows people's photos of it.
And lots of other pages.
Yeah, and lots of other pages. Administrative services, this is another county line that's just been budgeted for every year. Creative services, the expenses that we're expecting are our branding and strategy contract. our Real Creative contract for the Who is Moab project, that'll finish in 2026. And then we also budgeted $15,000 for material expenses for brand activations with Camper and Tourist. Material expenses like printing or making, or like creating physical signage isn't included in our contract, so we included it here. This line this year was really big to reflect the branding project. But obviously we're gonna have the bulk of those expenses in 2026. And so this is the line that we usually code for, like photo and video projects and things like that. Postage, we just averaged out what we do every month. So this is the cost of, sending out travel planners with Canyonlands advertising. They're awesome. And then we also do some in-house postage, like DMOs will email us and ask for travel planners. And then also fourth graders across the state have this really cute unit where they write me handwritten letters asking about Grand County, and then I send them a letter back. So it's very cute, so budgeted for that. Staff engagement, this is also traditionally budgeted for every year. The county fair.
You should start using it.
Yeah, we want to start using it. We really have been digging into the budget very recently, so. County fair, in 2025, they were allotted $120,000. I know Angie was here at the last board meeting. And I don't know if she got to speak to her exact request. But I believe it was still $120,000, so we have that in there too. Cell phone allowance, travel shows, registration. We have a lot of different travel lines and it can be very confusing. Travel speaks to like the actual expenses of traveling. Travel shows is registration. So, this is again like travel media, Go West, Simple View, IPW, Brand USA Travel Week, Pesto, and UTF. I want to note that IPW, we collaborate with the other DMOs, with other national parks. So that number can be a little flexible. I'm still trying to understand their partnership. But that's why that expense is so high, because it represents both like the booth design and the rental and registration. And we do like a collaborative booth design. International sales missions, this is just the fees to participate in UOT sales missions and reverse sales missions. Fuel, I have like travel to Salt Lake City in here. Office supplies like paper and pens and things. Brochures, we're expecting to reprint the travel guides and the outdoor adventure guides in 2026 after our rebrand. This is our quote that we have used this year. Merchandise. So this year we spent like around $3,300 on stickers and postcards, a hiking trails map, and also these boxes. And that's what I give to people who come on familiarization tours. So I drop those off at their hotels. And then if we want to do any custom merchandise following our rebrand, that is a line that we would love to talk about. Insurance, I think that's like another county thing, yeah. Familiarization tours. So this year we had $12,000 budgeted. I can pull up all the stats again, but I shared those at the board meeting 2 months ago. So we'd love to keep doing international familiarization tours. I think they're great. We also want to do some more familiarization tours with our PR agency where we like bring in journalists. And then when we do like familiarization activities with our agencies, we build into this line, so that's in there as well. Familiarization, we can spend kind of any amount of money on fam tours. Everybody wants to come to Moab, and so working with the UOT has just been like maintaining that budget. Inventory, this is like a historic budget line. I think it speaks to inventory for our office, outside of office supplies. Data, we're expecting to re-up our Visa View or Visa Destination Insights contract. We work with the state, so it costs $4,600, and CoStar, which is our lodging and occupancy data. So those are two things that would not be included in Voyage. And also that tourism economics doesn't have either. These are the things that we contract for, and then we send it to like our data visualization program. Okay, advertising paid media. I did put in all of the expenses that we just went over with Madden. So keep that in mind. And then we also have the UOT International Marketing opt-in. This year, when we opted into all the programs, it was around $100,000. So we'd like to do that again. We tallied up all of our billboard leases and also estimated what it would cost to install new billboards that align with the new brand once we get it. Advertising earned media is what we do with Camp Stories. So their contract ends April 30th. And then they are recommending a retainer fee increase so that we can keep doing great things with PR. And so I linked to their letter here and also included it in the packet if you'd like to look at it. And then also budgeted for another activation next year, something like the festive tree. We're interested in doing that. Advertising owned media. So we moved. I want to clean up this line because I think that we should keep things like video and photo and field guides in creative services. There are a lot of lines that double up, and feels better to kind of simplify this budget so that we can all keep an eye on it. Website costs, the Simple View contract is reflected in here, and then we also asked Simple View for an estimate on what it would cost to update the website with new branding, like new fonts and colors and things. And they said around $10,000. Training, this is another like historic line that we would like to use now that we know it exists. Travel Council grants, that's the UOT co-op grant. So we were awarded $146,000 in 2025 and are assuming that we would have something similar to that next year. UOT is on a fiscal calendar. So that one's kind of tricky because that line actually speaks to like 2 years of our budget. Because it's a matched grant. And then we have the special events grant, which on September 9th, this board decided to up to $250,000 and then sponsoring a staff member.
Yay.
Yeah, very happy to answer questions. Yeah, and of course, like double check all of our things like that.
And then just note with Brian's numbers, which you led with, this is at 3.9.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's a good point. And then plus Viga's budget, we're at like 4.2.
we might want to open up to that. We could put extra budget into like a creative services line. And then as we go through this year, we can reallocate, so we can make kind of boost plans for those things. And this is a real accounting of what we expect and what we are contracted for. But we'll want to think about what we want the total number to be.
You do have questions, just let me know. So whoever has a question first.
So this is all
I guess that's Jason.
4.2. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yes. So our number right now is 3.9 million, and then if we add Viga's proposed budget, we'd be around 2.
I have one more question. So I guess to make up that budget in promotion, we need to pull from that 1.5 that gave
3.4, we should be pulling,
but
if we're following Gabe's recommendation, the total number would be between 4.5 and 5 million.
okay, because he said to overspend it or spend the fund balance down by about 1.5 million.
And just remember now with under HB 456, both promotion and film are under the same bucket now.
Okay.
Right, so they're not two separate buckets, they're both under that same pool right there.
And I guess my next question was, of that 3.4 in the fund balance, is that 3.4 million fund balance all promotion, or can any of it be used for mitigation?
None of it can be used for mitigation, but the question is how much of it is rec film and convention? So we have, they're going through and they're doing an audit of that account right now and trying to figure out, because there are some different allowable uses for rec film and convention. So,
Okay,
but we don't know what that number is right now.
okay.
Hopefully, and I don't know how it's going to work, but hopefully what happens is that we basically spend everything that was old, the old money first, so everything that's, you know, had the previous restrictions on it. And then by the end of next year, we're moving on with basically a clean budget that moves into, you know, HB 456 forward.
Okay, I guess that was my question, is that everything that could have been used in the past for mitigation was spent out. And this was all promotion that got put into the fund balance.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
this is all promotion, whether it's, you know, the straight, what is it, 3-1
Mhm.
right there, or is it 3-2?
Right,
It's the same, they're all promotion, it's whether it's, you know, straight promotion or TRT, rec film and convention.
Right.
But that's what's in that 3.4.
okay.
I was just kind of echoing what Jason said, looks like our projections, including the film budget, we're gonna have to go into that fund by about $500,000 based on this budget, so that shortfall, okay? Just, I know you might know the answer to this question, the TRCCA fund is also there, can any of these expenses be paid for with the TRCCA funding?
Oh,
All of it, okay, because that's some additional funding we haven't considered yet.
We just don't know what it is yet. Those numbers that just came through,
we don't
we don't know.
know.
Is there TRCC funding in?
Similar
in-
to maybe this year.
Well, I'm not sure where we're at with TRCCA, like I said, I wouldn't want to speak to that, but I would say that we save that, conversation to when we're talking about, the TRCCA and the mitigation funding.
Just one more question about nothing against the county fair, but I'm just wondering, is it appropriate that funding comes out of our marketing budget to cover those expenses for the fair?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was gonna ask, is that 124 promotion for the fair?
I mean, that's one thing, but if you're using it to pay for the actual spot, you're basically sponsoring the
The
operation.
definition.
That's a lot of money.
So that's why I did include the new HB 456 inside the little presentation, just because it kind of helps out through some of that stuff. So establishing and promoting means an activity or related expense. So this would be considered an activity, right, that's used to draw people in.
Mhm.
Great. That's to encourage, solicit, or advertise or market in order to attract, enhance transient guest spending on county for a purpose described in section 3. So if we were to be funding the just like this year, if we are to be funding the county fair, we need to make sure that we have a marketing plan behind it that says that this is to try to bring people from the outside in. And if anything, you know, I know it was a busy meeting, that last meeting, but you know, Angie did have quite a bit on the America 250 and how that plays into that county fair as well. And I know that that's one of the big 3 topics out here that people are talking about, you know, it's World Cup, Route 66, and the America 250. That's, I think even Madden brought that up, is, you know, opportunities in this area.
Might be good to see a breakout of exactly what that makes up of this 120,000, just so the state auditors and, you know, watching us on that, just to be clear.
Yeah, she tried to present last week.
I didn't know she was.
Yeah,
It's
I
so much.
didn't know she was,
yeah.
they never told me that she was gonna be presented. She didn't know.
Yeah, she brought like a budget breakdown. So we
Yeah,
could ask her
yeah.
for that.
Yeah,
Is it possible for her to just email that to us?
Yeah.
yeah.
Over.
That's very few questions. I mean, yeah,
Thing I have is, last year when we did our budget, you know, we had all, put in there money to redo the, make bathrooms because we can use TRT money on it. And it was supposed to come out of this office's budget. And then it never got, the county commission nixed it. Even though it was confusing because they actually did get some quotes.
Yeah.
Now supposedly it's supposed to be going into the county budget, but is it, I mean, do we want to try to put it in our budget again? Because that is money you can, I mean, you can use TRT money for it. Or do we trust that the county's gonna do it?
So
Brian?
that's one of those questions right there that I'm looking into with that. How much do we have in the rec film and convention? right? Because it falls under that category previously.
Right.
Under the new definition here, so hold on.
It's in 3B.
Allow a 3B, yeah, is conventions, exhibit halls, visitor information centers.
Right.
So the MIC now would fall under the visitor information center as a 3B expense under the new thing. And there's also that rule now that 3As cannot be 3Bs. So,
And this is 3A.
3A
What's that?
is promotion, is
Promotion.
bringing people into
Correct. Yeah, I'm
town.
saying we are, Moab Office of Tourism.
Was
Film
it,
Commission.
but you have the Moab Information Center under this.
That is for a staff person, which
Okay,
I believe is what,
yeah, that's for the contract, yes.
yeah, which
For our-
which
our
would be
lease.
allowed under 3A, because
Okay.
it's somebody who is
Work-
working to
okay,
like
promote.
enhance tourism.
Okay.
you're answering the phones of people calling. in.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
I-
Go ahead.
Before you go. I just want, especially Brian, to hear, the bathrooms are bad.
So they didn't get, they haven't been?
No, it did not, the
I thought it
county
was-
did not put it in the budget. For
It
this,
was in the budget.
But
I
it
thought we did
was.
too, but it's not in the budget. Even Sean thought it was in the budget because he got quotes.
Can
You
you
know,
pull up
but
the
It is not.
spread from that presentation, the spreadsheet that goes down?
Yes,
Your
everything
breakdown
on
of
it.
TRT,
Yes.
Well, they are maintaining.
right, that one right there.
They're
yeah.
there almost every
This
day,
wasn't there.
maintaining it.
This wasn't
They had to
supposed be
pull a
there.
toilet up yesterday and try to get it so it didn't leak
Oh, well.
around the bottom, sewer water.
Do you
around the
have an
bottom.
idea what that quote was, just so I can put this in? the
I do not.
Okay,
That you'd have to get from Sean.
I'll look into it.
Yeah, I mean, they had to pull a toilet up yesterday because it's leaking sewer water out from underneath. Just FYI, and it's probably every other day they're there.
Is that bad?
Yes.
Jason,
And it was the handicap stall, so we had to lock the handicap stall,
How come salaries dropped by about 90,000?
what's that?
because there's nobody working.
Well, but won't they? But won't there, in that next budget? The plan is to have someone working in that, right? In that position? So I'm just wondering, like, the 2026 budget estimate is 403. And then the operating 2025 opening budget is 499. Stuff is, I'm just wondering why.
We don't deal with this line item, it's HR.
Okay.
Economic development was moved out of this office, so it shouldn't be, people were like counting for half their time. After,
Oh,
but we don't
That
have
makes sense.
insight into this line.
Yeah.
Do you have, you guys have spoken to who, like, I understand there's gonna be hiring for a director, correct? How about anybody else?
I think that's gonna be a director's question. Like, once the director comes in, I think they're gonna look over and see like, hey, this is how I think that we can achieve this goal, and I think we're gonna need this person here, and this person here, and this person. So I wouldn't wanna make any kind of staff decisions from this board, especially without a director.
Right. Okay.
So that would be like a budget amendment, should they? Come in, depending on the time frame.
So, yeah, this like. Yeah, again, you're saying that's an HR question, but right now it looks like that's probably enough for 3 people.
We don't have any insight into this.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Sure.
I mean, we can do the same math that you can do,
Yeah.
but I really don't know.
I had a question on you guys' shows.
Yeah,
So are you guys participating in the grants sales mission?
yes,
So
that is in March,
correct.
right?
The folks that I've talked with are doing 3 shows together with that. And so I'm just wondering. The big cost for going over there is your airfare, and there's actually 4 shows that are happening at the same time. So there's a show in Belgium
Okay,
that's going up right now. There's also a show in Italy, which is Showcase Italy, which was really good. That was Utah Office of Tourism was there last year, which backs up to the ITB show. And then from there, the people are going to France. So I just didn't know if you guys wanted to maybe look at all of those shows and see if there's a better way to kind of group those up and work with some of the folks that are going out there already.
yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we felt like the feedback on our international shows was that we had to rethink our presentation and kind of our strategy, and so we kept the budget a little slim when it came to international shows, but if that's something that the board is really eager to see us do, then we would love to.
And we just see the, MTAB and
Mhm.
St. George,
Yeah.
quite a few
They're
folks that are
really
traveling
good.
as a group with the office of tourism, it's all
Yeah.
one big package going out there, and that's their plans.
Yeah,
And then,
Just the
well,
other thing to consider with those is that, like ITV, we have the support of that organization, right? They're setting it up.
Yeah.
And then we also have the support from UOT, where they were setting up all of our appointments.
exactly.
We'll want to look at Belgium and Italy, to see if like that we're gonna take that on, if we maybe can, but having that extra support is really important.
Those two shows, no. So, I'm not positive with the Belgium show, but I know that the Showcase Italy, it's, you get to see everybody.
Yeah.
So it's a smaller show, but it is productive.
Yeah, it's,
And then-
Jeanette said she had it.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, she was there. And then the other thing is those travel costs, that's for one person traveling, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question about the car, the monthly car payment. Is
Yeah.
that for one car or what is that? And who uses it? Or
yeah,
who has access to it?
good question. I actually don't know who's paying that. I found it in our ledger.
Because the fuel costs are so low that I'm just wondering, who's, we're paying, I mean, how much? Is it one car? Is it two cars? Is it? And who has access to it? Is it just you guys or is it other people as well?
I mean, it must be like the roads department is managing our fleet, but I'll look into it and get an answer.
The roads department does manage our fleet. We have,
Okay.
the roads department handles our fleet, but there's two vehicles that can be associated with what was the economic development department. There's our newer 3300, they're all tagged, and then there's what I call lovingly janky 317, which is what year did he say it was this morning? 2009 or something like 2004, 2009, anyway. So the one is road savvy and good, the other is always been questionable, but the cost, I believe, of that right now, that line item is for 3300 specifically. I think we've owned
Yeah.
outright that other Ford Expedition for many, many years now.
Yeah.
So the cost is that. So when we get to my budget, you'll see a request for a specific one for film, but we share the use of it. Occasionally Quinn will come in and grab it if he's taking people on tour. It's really not supposed to be used outside of our department, but often the library comes over and is like, we're driving up to Salt Lake City and you have the biggest vehicle. Can you take that? So there has been conflict in relation to the work that I specifically do within my area of expertise. Including next week, these guys are heading out to a conference. And I also have a crew in town that I need to go and scout with. And so anyway, yes, it's all out of roads.
Yeah, we can just figure out.
But you still have the option to use your personal vehicle if there's a conflict, but obviously not
Yes.
ideal.
Yes, we can. The fuel line. When we fill up at the county, does it hit this line?
It's supposed to.
Yeah.
It did go through telephone for a while. I think it's finally been worked out, but for years when I was
That might-
fueling up. When I used to fuel up, it used to go into the cell service. For some reason, it was just a communication of where it comes, but that and then any outside of the roads department fueling up should go into, our fuel line items specifically for.
We just don't drive around that much.
Yeah, no,
So
yeah,
we're going
that's
just
fine.
around town,
Yeah.
and probably
Yeah.
once a week. So
12,254 monthly car payment.
It's not a month, that's a year.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll
so that's-
It just said,
That's for the year.
Is that for the
That's for the year.
Okay.
It's like around $2,000, but I think I'll try to find like our contractor who is billing that. It just gets billed to that.
The next thing I have was are we still gonna be doing two different guides next year? Is that up for discussion or are we doing those both guides or is it we're gonna consolidate into one or?
So it's in the statement of work for Camp Forum. And it's a question that they're gonna address in the project,
Okay.
but since we have to, we have to
Yeah.
plan for two. The plan for the outdoor adventure guide is to at least give it a new cover. And then maybe like a few pages interior, I believe. And then the travel guide is cover to cover. But we can redo and change any of that, but we just had to advance. That's an in the statement for, and those hours could be reallocated to something else if we want to take another approach, if we want to combine them, to be determined. We want them to blow.
And then is there, we're using Canadian Lines Copy Center to kind of be our distributor, basically, from that?
Yeah.
So they like print, you know, shipping labels and they send everything out and then they just invoice us for the postage.
Which is awesome. I think this office did it historically. When I started, there was a mailing machine there. And as I understood it, people spent a lot of time tapping the Biga, probably saw that. And we don't do it.
Music.
So it's great support. And I think it makes sense to have the copy center do it. They're set up to do those sorts of things. They get an automated spreadsheet weekly, and Alicia over there sends them out and they send us a bill.
Another thing that two of the
Let's, you guys are local.
Support local
Yeah.
businesses.
They're good. They're really good at it.
one was 0 for public notices. I just wonder, I mean, I don't know if we can, that's a question for all of us. It would be great if your office could do more like community public notices, you know, talking about the great stuff that's coming up or what's happening. I don't know if that's really bringing people in, if that's going to be the definition of it. Community, I mean, the newspapers are read by everybody, but it would just be great to have more public notices showcasing what Big is doing, what you guys are doing, events that are coming up to kind of show how their tax dollars are being spent. So if we could put, I don't know if it's allowed use or not, that's something that's up for discussion, but I would think it would be a great opportunity for us to kind of showcase what the work that you guys are doing. And also, what's that?
PR versus public.
Yeah, this is exactly. It's more, not public notices so much as, you know, ads in the paper to kind of, you know, promote events and things, so, yeah.
I think that's a conversation with Melissa as well,
Yeah,
being and I've had conversations, and again, I added money into public for exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
For film specifically, but
But we haven't had.
So, and whether that's in our newspapers or elsewhere or to try.
Yeah.
So, I know it's kind of advertising, basically, it falls into that's something. And then the other thing I have.
I think it's important. Something that's come up too is a sort of a community communications plan, and working with campus stories to do that, but to really get a plan and a document that communicates, you know, the parameters of TRT, how it's being spent, the goals that we set, the achievements that we make, these kinds of things. Otherwise, it's kind of, as I observe it, up to the Wild West and people's own anecdotal observations of things. We could do better communicating those things so that we're control the message a little bit. Ally does add in some information about what we're doing in her weekly interactions while sending out leads, which I really appreciate. And we get positive feedback on that. So yeah, it's an opportunity where she just says, hey, look at this. We have a new media plan, these kinds of things. And it's worked well.
Yes.
The last things are, some of these things are just carryover, when 0 was spent and then you carry over in a traditional budget, if you don't spend it, you lose it. So I just don't, some of these carryovers I think are kind of unnecessary, like I'm just looking at it, you know, I mean, some of them are small amounts, but just,
Staff engagement.
we're only in end of September.
What's that?
We're only in the end of September.
Yeah.
So give us time. We can. We've got a couple more months.
But no, just from a budget perspective, just look at it again to see if there's, you know, if we're not spending it, then if you're really gonna spend 4,800, if you've spent this year, just look at that. And then the last
So
one.
I think, but it's different. We don't lose it in the sense it kind of, we're like the only office that can use these funds.
Yeah.
So it will be carried over and reallocated. So we don't lose it in the sense, the traditional sense, like you're saying, which is true. But if there's anything in particular you'd like us to spend in 2025.
No, I'm just saying from a budget perspective, it just kind of sometimes makes sense if it's not being used year over year over year, then kind of don't want to put it in there, put it somewhere else, maybe it's gonna be in the budget.
I see.
And then last thing for the camp stories activations, I just want to make sure that we are comfortable with, because we know we had talked about, I'm not very comfortable with some of their activation plans. So I know you have the budget in here for them, but I don't agree with
Yeah.
or we didn't agree with the way they were gonna do those. So as long as we're in agreement that that's a budget for future ones, not the ones they've currently.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This is just a budget for 26.
What's that? Lori. No, Lori McFarland.
I thought there was.
Oh, sorry.
I'm here. I'm listening. I'm promised I'm
sorry.
listening.
The cursor was over you and it made it look like your hand was up or something.
Oh, that's very funny. Nope, just listening. Thank you.
Anything you'd like to say, Lori?
I was curious about the discretionary line. I don't have visual right now because I just sort of was helping somebody change a tire. But if you could talk about that discretionary line, I can't quite remember how that got addressed.
It is not in the budget. We don't have, our discretionary line for 2026 is 0. So,
Do you know what?
Thank
what
you.
was,
I don't know what that was.
Yep.
I think it was a bad wording for using funds to do, I don't know, yeah, at your discretion. It really was.
From memory, there was $113,000 discretionary for 2025. That seemed a little alarming to not have a name on it, a specific, this is what this is for.
Yeah, it looks like 2025 started with 113,000 and then the budget was amended to 0. And in 2026, we had 0.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I just don't have the visual.
Yeah, and just to speak to the activations, I mean, this is like a curious way to do 2026, right? Because it's like, we will want to think about those activations as a board and as a office, but we just have to budget for it now.
Yeah, just as long as it's not for those specific.
Oh, yeah.
activations, yeah.
No, we want to rethink it and we want to see how this one goes too.
and it could be like a brand rollout. It's in the state, or it could be the brand rollout, so the PR agency would come up with an activation to speak to the brand.
Okay. Sharon, okay, Sharon is leaving the building.
Meeting the Park Service.
Thanks, Sharon.
Come see me on Thursday.
Why is Thursday?
Live band.
Live band, for what?
Thursday at 5.
Thursday, for what? Is it
Public Wednesday.
okay,
Yeah.
Thursday at 5, done. Oh, I'm working. Jason.
I feel like this is in the wrong category and there's 0 on it with the throttle down campaign. And I just wanted to say that from the city, from my position in the city, and Lori can probably also attest to this because Lori's been kind of helping me with it, the UTV noise. People are starting to raise their voices again about it. And supposedly there's residents, especially like in your area, Viga, that are
The Walker Tusher.
that are really starting to
Sand flats.
get vocal about UTV noises. So I'm wondering, would it make sense to put a little bit into some sort of campaign on that? Just to show we're doing something. Now, I don't know if it could be put someplace else in the line budget, but I'm just making it known that it's starting to come up again. And it's starting to, it kind of calmed down for a while, but people are starting to get.
Do we still have all those signs in our warehouse, the throttle
I
down
think-
ones? We had
We
a
need to think about if it's appropriate use of TRT.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it shouldn't be even in this category. I feel like it should be like a mitigation category or something, or someplace else, but it's listed as on the 23, so that's why. And I'm just throwing that out there, that it's coming up.
Could that be kind of part of community outreach too, like just kind of sending messages out as best we can?
Yeah,
It's
whatever.
like a campaign, something to help
So
mitigate that.
in trying to do some
Promote quietness.
discovery on the budget line items and things, since I wasn't really part of it over the past 4 years myself, there are line items that exist in here. You can't take a line item away. because of the system that we have and talking
Right.
to Gabe, like it's just
No,
gonna sit
that's
there
what-
for years
yeah.
to come and you're always gonna see it
I get-
here, but we do need to figure
Yeah,
out
actually,
potentially.
I feel like it shouldn't be there, but I was like, why is it, so that's,
Yeah.
but just so, I think it needs to be on everybody's,
Something.
that it's coming up
Yeah.
again. So.
Anyone else? Ally, Mick, thank you very much.
I just want to wait just a second. If you can hear me, can you hear me, Wendell?
Yep. We can hear you.
Piggybacking on what Jason's talking about, I think it's important. I realize that 2026 is a long way away and we probably want to do something short term, but that was a really important part of what we were talking about for the rebrand. What tone do we want to have from our community? It's clear that off-roading has been part of our community for, I don't know, 100 years. And we have to decide if we want to allow that to be part of our identity or not. Clearly, I would think that it would be important part of our history tying into the museum and all of that. But maybe if that's something that we can address as a subcommittee or something, I know we can't make one today because we can't vote today, but maybe that's something that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. Because if we don't talk about things that are upsetting people in a timely manner, then they become bigger than they need to be.
Great. Biga, it's all yours.
Thank you. So. The Film Commission strategy is still the same, to promote and support film, television and commercial productions in southeastern Utah. Are you leaving?
No, I'm just stretching.
Okay, including Grand and San Juan counties. And as the continuously longest ongoing operating film commission, I provide permitting support, location scouting support, and local production resources. And I believe play a vital role in attracting projects and bringing significant economic and cultural benefits to the region. I do this as an office of one. There is a Moab Office of Tourism team, but we don't really, we work in tandem with each other for certain things. When it comes to film projects, local projects, shooting within the Moab Office of Tourism, I lend a helping hand as to make sure that those things are done properly. Through the proper land use agencies and stuff like that. So I do hope that at some point we can have a further conversation to tie the film commission, the essence of the film commission, more into the Moab Office of Tourism as a whole, potentially related further to film tourism. Because that is something that has been noted in the past few years, that 37% of people come to Utah because they saw it in a movie. That's not a small number. It's not what we get. 37%.
Nice.
So, you know, there's a couple of things, there's a Utah Film Trail that is part of that. Now we have a couple of film trail markers up. I'm putting this in at the MIC and a couple other things. It's a set jetters, which is also a film tourism thing where you can go to certain areas and you push this QR code and it can show you where film sets where people were, you know, making movies. So there's a lot of cool stuff. And I think that the reason I'm bringing this up is that, the support that these firms are giving to the Moab Office of Tourism at this time is not something that the Film Commission has access to. And maybe it's a discussion that can be had. At this point, I do all my own, the Film Commission does all its own social media, PR, ad, graphic design work, data recovery, facilitating the film stuff, which is the largest part on top of that. And so, it's a lot. It's, you know, and I've been told in the past, well, you know, we don't want you to burn out. And my thing is that, you know, I haven't yet. My fire is still burning brightly. I love what I do and I continue to do what I do. But at some point, I feel like there needs to be a conversation as to potentially having the support. And I know Brian had mentioned until we have a director, the idea of the Film Commission possibly having a part-time person is still a question, and that is fine. I've done it for 10 years on my own, minus a couple of years when I worked for the city when I had an assistant, and so I'm good to go. Still, but it's just something I want to throw out. So I'll go through the same line by line. I am part now of Fund 23, which is also 3A. Prior, I was in Fund 26, which was Rec, Film and Conventions, and now as part of this other pot in 3A, it's still unknown to me, and I have asked the question, like, what portion of that pot does the Film Commission have access to? Because it hasn't actually been established in terms of money. So primarily, the budget that you are seeing is mostly what's been brought over from the budget from this year to next year, plus a couple little added, couple thousands of dollars, not asking for millions, but here and there, some bits and pieces. Did you have hand raised? Sorry.
No, just one, I didn't want to forget it, but
Yeah.
in the top corner right there, you're still listed under rec, film and conventions.
This is Gabe's spreadsheet.
Well, we just want to make sure that we imagine we want to get that corrected real quick.
Oh, yeah, good one.
So,
Yes, I don't have access to change Gabe's spreadsheet.
no
But
worries, just
that
wanted to
makes
put that,
perfect
just wanted to
sense.
put that out there before it got.
It is
lost.
not.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just so used to seeing that for the past
Yeah.
number of years that it didn't
Brought it
make a
up, I was
difference.
like,
So, I didn't change the number because it is an HR thing in the employee salary part, but I did put a note that I would, if HR could review an appropriate benchmark for a salary adjustment for the director. If I am not able to potentially have a part-time person come on, then I feel that the time and effort that I put into this department on my own and the hours, sometimes it's definitely not 40 hours a week. It's definitely many, many more than that, and especially when I'm traveling. And so I know it's a really weird time to ask for a bump in salary, but I don't have an overtime line. So I'd also mentioned in the side note, in lieu of a salary adjustment, potentially put funds to cover the extensive workload that the Film Commission does as a solo person. Again, those numbers are zeroed, so it's not going to show in the bottom line. Benefits, obviously HR. My subscriptions and memberships are pretty straightforward. Monthly Apple iCloud storage, my annual membership, including but not limited to Association of Film Commissioners International membership dues. My Wix, which is the website that I helped build and administer every aspect of, including all changes to and any updates for any type of land use agency changes or hotel changes. That's all me doing that. The Adobe Creative Cloud that creates ads and flyers for the Film Commission. Real Scout website database, which is a collaboration. It's what's the word that I'm looking for? It works in tandem with the Utah Film Commission. It aggregates with that. So we share a database, and any projects that are coming in, if I can get them to say that they are coming to film here and when they're hoping to film here, the Utah Film Commission can see that as well. And it also holds our free to the public who work in the film industry, the production directory for all types of crew and support services. So any hotel that's here that wants to be listed as a support service, potentially to work on film, et cetera, et cetera. So it's Real Scout, Onyx Hunt app, which I use so that when I have film crew here and we're out scouting, I can jump to the left and say you're on BLM, and jump to the right and say you're on SITLA or any other type of land use agency. OpenAI, I just started. I'm not really a huge fan of ChatGPT, but I figured I'd get it just in case I needed it. The Motion Picture Association of Utah is our lobbying arm through the state to get the film incentives in the state here. The Location Managers Guild International, I'm a dedicated partner. I just went to the LMGI Awards a few weeks ago in Los Angeles, Film Independent and IMDb Pro. So those are a couple of things in membership lines. The number went up a tiny bit to cover, some costs have gone up. Because that's what happens. Real Scout didn't upcharge me for the past 10 years. So they finally just said, we gotta ask for a little bit more. Public notices, as you mentioned before, Wenzel, I just put in some money for that for press releases. That option, when we had like Godzilla Kong here, the idea of putting out a press release and having to put that in the papers costs money. Ads in our local, sorry,
Oh, sorry, I guess we'll.
ads in local, don't talk, no speak, let me speak. Ads in local papers for the local film screenings and casting calls that happen in the Moab TI, the Sun News, the Advertiser and Happenings and any other papers that we might have. But I'll wait, keep this to the end, but I do have a little film competition that is finally just going to be happening. Make a movie, see it on a big screen. Travel. So my travel line has shifted over the past couple of years as well, but it basically covers transportation of any kind, including air flight, car, Uber, no, car rentals if that were needed, Uber, car, what do they call them? Something else.
Taxis.
Transportation, trains, I've taken trains, planes, automobiles. I haven't gotten on a boat yet, but I'm gonna. The hotel / living accommodations, any meals, any toll fees, parking, my per diem. For whatever location you're at, that changes per area. If it's in France, then that rate is different than it is if it's in Salt Lake City and any other place in the world. And any other travel-related costs for the purpose of attending county and position-related events, professional training, conferences, meetings, promotions, and other approved activity. There are a few new film festivals and conferences on the docket for 2026 that I would like to attend. I find that I have been able to work, whether I'm 7 hours ahead or behind in those places, and facilitate the things that are still on the ground here while being gone. But it is a lot. In the larger packet, you can see some of the costs of what those are estimated to go to the Sundance Film Festival. Unfortunately, the last year that it's going to be in this state, but I probably will say that I'm going to go to it once it moves to Boulder the following year as well, because it is a good festival for what I do. The location managers meeting, anyway, the list, there's a long list of things. I don't necessarily need to go through all of them, but if you have questions about any of those that are on the packet that I gave, then I'm happy to answer those. Office supplies and expenses. I generally, federal office supplies, and, I get my own special, black book notebooks that I like to use and my own pens. I put my business cards and printer ink and stuff on that as well. And I brought that down a little bit to offset the uptick of some other things. Sorry, in the previous one, I did ask for another, in the travel expense, I did ask for more than it has been, because I have found, even just what I've been doing this year, that the cost for flights and things, it varies so much, but if everything that I mentioned comes out of travel, then that is sort of a line that seems to need to grow, even though I'm sort of sometimes put it in tandem with marketing, depending on the covering booth costs. Merchandise is all the film commission swag that I brought in the last meeting and didn't really give out, but hats and pens and buffs and totes and all of the things that I give to the film crews that come into town. People love free stuff, and I have to say it's been one of the best marketing tools the film commission has had. And when I go to Cannes, France, and everyone's like, oh, it's the pen girl. Did you bring more pens? Love them, or the hats are, being seen across the world. So I did ask for a little bit more in that too, because the cost of materials, and I try to make them oftentimes in town with some of our local businesses, but that doesn't often happen, and it costs money to make things. Marketing is primarily ad placement in industry and trade magazines, which I get asked to do all the time. The flyers and pamphlets that the Film Commission puts together, and then the table and booth costs for signage at conferences and festivals, events, and things like that. So the booth and pavilion sponsorship opportunities, as I note in here, can change and vary from the very low end of about under 5K, which doesn't necessarily have to go through the commission, and upwards of 10 to 20 and higher, so I didn't put in much, but it could definitely go up from here, and the film commission could absolutely make use of having more funds in that marketing portion of being able to share a booth with on a global stage with other film commissions or at the Location Managers Guild's International Awards to be the title sponsor. You know, at this point, I'm not titling anything, I'm just slipping myself in there. Fuel, same, lowered it a little bit because I didn't have as much access to a vehicle. And so I didn't spend as much in fuel, or if this is the right number, then it's not going into the right line item still, because I definitely spent more than $55 in fuel. I have put in a request in equipment lease, which I haven't had, you can see a number of zeros prior. To have a dedicated and potentially logoed and or wrapped film commission vehicle. A high clearance 4x4 for use on location scout set visits, fam tours, travel within or out of state conferences, workshops. And in speaking to our roads department, it's about an $1,100 per month lease, or it could be a buyout of about anywhere from 55 to 65,000 to purchase it.
But 12,000 per year.
Sorry,
You said per month,
1,100 per month.
1,100 a month.
Correct, so it's about 13,200 per year.
Got
Is, which I did put that number into the actual budget.
Yeah, I'm reading 11,000, I heard you say it, and then you said 1,100, so I just think these.
There's a little comma in there.
Yeah.
Professional and technical services is, you know, based on what these guys had said, it was an interesting thing because I have a MailChimp account that I haven't used in a while, but I have a send out that I do through the Film Commission's Wix website. Because it's already being paid for, but I haven't normally put that, my MailChimp and or Wix, I put in subscriptions and memberships, so that could be up for discussion as to where it should live, or those things should live. But for me, it's more of a specialized knowledge-based services provided by skilled professionals, who are primarily non-employees, such as the guy who does my the people who help out at the film competitions to running the boards at Star Hall. The people that I have been able to hire to help with putting together the sizzle reels that I show at some of these conferences and festivals. Or when I was at the LMGI Awards, it was a 15-second spot talking about the film commission and the years of history. And so they charge me very, very little money, and I keep saying, you know, I hate that I often am asked, you know, I know you don't have a big budget, so we'll do it for less, but I wish that I just had the money to say, let's just do these things at the cost that they actually are. And I really haven't been doing that. So the ask is still, for me, not yet burning bridges, but getting closer to burning them still by asking to have people charge me less. Familiarization was a line that was put in last year, and I would like to make better use of it. I don't know if it's gonna be able to happen this year, but I am talking to the Utah Film Commission, and if not them, then doing this on my own. But having very film specific location fan tours, film tours and fan tours. The Utah Film Trail Markers could be considered part of familiarization as well. And I have been in discussions with the city, and I hope to continue now that you now have 2 bids on the pavement project. Because for many years now, many years, when I used to work for the city, I've had an idea of putting in some form of horseshoe or star or boot that recognizes the film history here. And so that there's no money really in here for that to be able to actually, because I believe that the film commission would probably have to pay for the, whatever those steel or metal or whatever they are, things are. But I just think there's no reason not to have a little hall, you know, Moab Walk of Fame situation in front of the MIC when we do that, or down as the streets get reworked. Anyway, that's an idea, throwing that out there too. Film screenings that I do. sometimes they're not necessarily considered promoting, but they are in the world that I work in. And like the Moab event, I already have 2 people that signed up the day that I posted that it was done, and one's out of Salt Lake City, just speaking to some young indigenous filmmakers who are gonna be coming down from Window Rock. So it's bringing people from outside, and it is putting heads in beds to do some of these screenings here. Cell phone allowance, I don't have that. That's just to pay for my iPhone 13 mini that says needs a little upgrade to. Yeah, capital equipment inventory are not film commission. Education, same, would like to make better use of it. I'm already a certified film commissioner with the Association of Film Commissioners International. I've thought about actually taking a woofer class, which I see them out putting splints on arms, and I'm like, I go out into these places remotely often, even as part of my job. Maybe it's something that I could do, and potentially learning more about how to do my own graphic design work. Conferences and workshops. So these are some of the festivals again, and the conferences and booths and registration and passes and accreditation, intermingling with the marketing aspect of things, but for the cost of festival conference booths. And again, as I said before, that varies greatly. So we work in tandem with marketing, but it's an important part of what the Film Commission does. Event funding, don't know what that is. I never saw it before. I know 920, 9201 and 2. Those are all new to me. So I put question marks. Is that a new line item? Can it be used for community outreach of Moab film screenings, a film forum that's been talked about doing maybe a monthly screening at Star Hall? But also potentially what I use towards sponsoring other local things like the Women's Festival, the Hoedown, and things that have film related things going for them. Youth recreation, not my line. Art trails, ambassadors, Roswell Trail, not my lines, not my lines. Capital equipment, not my lines. And then the discretionary fund, it was just recommended in the request for potential part-time assistant. Gabe had suggested that I put it into the discretionary fund, because it's discretionary. A request for an added part-time position, I put numbers in there that HR did provide, at a grade 7, would be anywhere from $24 to $37 per hour. As per the 2025 pay chart, I'd be budgeting for about 25 hours per week, 1,300 hours annually, not 13,000. It's like I do, 31 to 48,000 in the salary, and then some workers' comp payroll. So that's if in the event that the Film Commission could have a part-time person, and that adds up to the 268 is what is in there, but that does not include a number for a salary uptick for the Film Commission director or for an assistant or for a couple other things. So keeping it within the very minimal. And in discussions and comparables that I have given to HR that are related not just to salaries, but budgets. This is and people that I work with across the globe. $300,000, which includes the salary and employee benefits, plus the budget, the working operational budget of the Film Commission. This is very, very, very low amount in comparison to these offices everywhere across the US and across the globe. Just saying. That's me.
Thank you, Vika. I'm gonna start off by, first of all, thanking you for this and for the work that you do. Your presentation to the county commission 2 months ago, was, I think, enlightening for so many people. This showed the amount of money that this brings into our economy, so I thank you for that. My question is actually for Brian. This is recreation film production conventions, or previously, is this 3B now under 456?
It's 3A.
It is still 3A.
It's establishing, so it's once again, establishing and promoting means an activity or related expense to encourage, solicit, advertise, or market in order to attract or enhance transient guest spending for the purpose of tourism, recreation, film production, or conventions.
So then, my second part of that is, can we incorporate some of the Madden into, the stuff that Big is having to do on our own? Particularly website, and I mean, that might increase the amount of money we put into that, but I don't know how we incorporate into the two budgets.
I think that would be a great question.
Because
for the director.
I would really like to see them, they can do, you know, increase your profile immensely with the right amount of backup. So hopefully we can work something out. I don't know whose budget it comes out of, how that works, if it's, you know what I mean, since there's two separate budgets, but I would love to see more support on that end. So particularly the website, if they're doing your own website, think of what could be done if it's something else, maybe. I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's down to, a new director coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a thought about, you know, breaking off the film
Yeah.
commission and having that do its own thing, but I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon either. I appreciate a new director coming in, and
That's just
whatever
fine.
experience they have will be amazing.
There's so
maybe.
much, there's so much overlap. that I
Yeah.
think that there's a lot
Yeah.
of efficiency that can be
Yeah,
gained.
okay. That was
I
just-
forgot to
that's it.
point out, I just wanted to say too, not in closing, because you guys have questions still, but, filming wise, it has been incredibly busy. Last week, we had a French documentary film crew in town, another, Deadly Destinations project and Outside was also here. This week, right now on the ground, I have Canyon Spirit, which is the new Canyon, the Rocky Mountaineer train, filming with proper filming permits across the board for the Canyon Spirit. So that's a collaboration of bringing people in on the train, as well as working with the film commission, and the hours that I spent towards helping facilitate. I met them all for lunch and gave them all hats, and they're super, super psyched to be here and to be shooting stuff for Canyon Spirit. Red Bull is also on the ground here. I don't know if you know about Red Bull, but Red Bull's a very big, you know, thing that does really crazy, you know, flight suit things. And so they're on the ground, and I've been working with them for months. Bear Grylls on the ground. And then coming up, I have to call it a major beverage company, because I'm not allowed to say what it is right now, coming in, helping facilitate that, but it's not a massive crew, but really big deal for visuals on this area. And then a $500 million budget, not for here's only, but the project is a animated visual effects completely, film that is potentially coming, and we're talking about them coming during the off season as well. So, those are just some of the things that are happening, you know, in the world that I work in. And I will take questions again.
So you were saying, I think you mentioned maybe before, you have like I don't know, I guess your agenda of films or productions that are happening in town in real time that you work with. Is it something that only you are allowed to see, or is it something that like businesses can see at all? I'm just coming from like the restaurant perspective. I had no idea that Godzilla was going to film like right out front, you know, at the time that it did. And I was just very lucky that my schedule for the beginning of the year was like last week we were open, it was like the time production team was in town. But I didn't know until like it was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before they were here, but you're like, I've been working on this all year. But and I don't know where the information is allowed to come through to the businesses to like understand like when big productions and teams are in town, so that like businesses like myself can like plan accordingly to know when those are gonna come. And I know, and especially for restaurants, sure, like the production teams are, you know, they come and spend a ton of money, obviously, and those are things that we would very much like to know, like when they're gonna be here and when they're around. So
Yeah, I'd say that, I mean, primarily it's the same as it's always been, which is I'm basically a walking non-disclosure agreement in
Right.
relation to the projects that are coming, AKA giant beverage company,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
So when they are here, I mean, sometimes those dates change. I don't think I can't really give the public and access to that. And also, it's another thing on my plate that I just don't have capacity for. I mean,
Right.
it's one of those things that I would love to be like, yes. But then the choices that they make and where they're gonna go and have lunch or where they're gonna go and have dinner and things like that, it's gonna be based on, you know, the team itself,
Right,
so.
well, I'm not asking that, I'm asking like just time frame. Like, mostly
Yeah.
like you're looking at time frame, like, okay, in the end of June, we're looking at a big production, don't have to name any names, is gonna be in town.
With like
Yeah.
200 people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know, I just
I
think
mean-
that would be helpful for local business.
you send me a text on the beginning of every month and say, what do you got coming? And I'm happy to, and I mean, it's honestly, I just like my checklist is like,
Uh-huh,
but I think it's a great idea. And I know that you and I spoke about it post Godzilla and you said that you might have even stayed open another week.
yeah.
Which, I apologize that it just, you know, fell through the cracks and
Yeah.
that, but I'd also know that you're, whatever, it's like your staff is expecting the time off and whatever, it's not about your staff, it's about your business, so. I'm happy to, yeah, I mean, I think my reason for being here is always the same, I do this for the community, you know, this is, and the businesses, like, what am I I'm not getting any, you know, I'm not getting anything out of this other than bringing to the community and facilitating these projects and hoping that they'll come and choose here instead of going some other places. So whatever I can do to boost the economy here in the restaurant world, I'm happy to help. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just, you know, and as we're talking about budgets and it sounds like this is where like an assistant would be really good. To like, be able to put things on a schedule a little bit and just maybe have even like a dashboard for businesses to access
Yeah,
and,
productions, shooting, I mean, the Utah Film Commission does, you know, when we're talking about them hiring local crew and things like that. And I would like to have a link for that on my website. I just haven't. You know, it mostly comes down to me posting on social media on the Utah casting calls and Moab casting calls and
mhm,
Moab classifieds and all the things that are upcoming, just getting it out and hoping that people have social media,
yeah,
or putting posters up around town.
right.
So yes,
Yeah, and I know it's like, it's definitely a fine line of, you want to know, you want community to know that like film is coming, but film doesn't really want people to know that they're.
correct,
So.
right. It's a catch-22.
Yeah,
Great movie. Even better book. But yes, yeah, I can't, people knowing that films are coming to town can be a negative. It hasn't been thus far in my, what do you call it, tenure of 10 years. It's been great. There hasn't been any real issues with paparazzi and things happening with
Yeah.
like the papers and suddenly so-and-so is that, you know,
Mhm.
but, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I'll try to do better, but with what information I can,
mhm,
yes.
cool.
So with that, I feel like the public notices budget is really small
Yeah,
and personally, and doing public notices when I work for the county, that's a really small amount. And if you had more budget, you'd be able to get those notices out.
yeah, and I believe, I mean, the other thing is, I've asked, I mean, I have a list as much as I can that I continue to update as I go with all of the general managers of the hotels, which change sometimes every couple
Oh,
months.
yes.
I also have business owners, most of them, but there isn't a concise full database. I know I've spoken to the chamber about that in the past, and I know that's something being worked on, but normally that's membership based only and not all of the businesses. Like if I had access to a thing that somebody was upticking
Just
the.
maybe a quick little idea is I know that Ally sends out her leads every, and she has a little bit, and I mean, you know, my office reads them. And I talk to other business owners and they read them too. So maybe even just a quick little, hey, we got a film coming at the end of the month, 200 people. Just on that right there, I mean, that might be a start of some of that outreach right there. And that wouldn't be much more than just an email over to Ally and saying, hey, we got 200 people coming at the end of the month. Can you add this into your leads?
Great.
But-
I think that list of leads is, that's what I'm saying, it's sometimes, it's not
Yeah.
all the businesses, or they are, you know, it's
I don't know if it's
making
all
sure.
good, but
Yeah, but I mean, it would get a start and then word of mouth.
Yeah.
Kind of take over a little bit.
Howard.
Just numbers, I'm looking down the line here and I see youth recreation, the responsible trail. There's about $650,000. Was that money that was returned to our funds? I'm just not sure where that
What are you
is.
looking at?
Just these two numbers here, of unused funds
Yes.
from 2025.
It says remove unallowable cost transfer to 473310 and put into paid media, so.
That's unpaid. That's been unused, money that is still available for your budget, perhaps.
It was never, it would have potentially been available for my budget if it hadn't been used towards this, yes, because it was rec film and conventions, but it was used towards that, so now it can, if it's going into the Fund 23, I'm guessing that it can be used.
I'm just thinking that what your suggestions are, you may already have within the budget amounts available to you for your requests for an assistant, et cetera.
No, I think that's going in,
So-
that's going into the reserve right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a question kind of on those lines too. Like, does this board approves this budget, right? No, not at all.
No, that's what our next meeting is.
Yeah,
Yes.
but this board approves it at the next meeting.
You
Yes.
recommend.
Yes, it
You don't
recommend approving it.
Yeah.
So I guess,
Yeah, we don't, yeah, we
You
recommend,
write a
Yes.
letter
Yeah.
recommending.
Yeah.
To the commissioners.
exactly, the commission, they,
Final
submit decisions. What's
There's
that?
actually two things that need to happen. A, you guys need to write a letter for the recommendations for the mitigation and the TRCCA. And then also you're supposed to, and I think it says in either, I think it's in the state code that you shall work with the director or with the Office of Tourism to send forward a budget to present to the commission.
correct, okay.
But it's statute to write the letter.
Yeah.
But to
Which-
recommend.
similar, yeah, we have the letter from
Yeah,
last
yeah,
year.
We have the letter
Yeah,
from
yeah,
last
do
year.
exactly this board. One is to move the recommended budget forward with in partnership with the office. And then also you have a duty to send a recommendation in.
But you
Okay.
can say to me, I think that you should put more in such and such, and then you can have that be the part of the recommendation. But yeah,
Okay, well, so my next kind of building off of that, to get clarification is, are you in negotiations with the county admin or whoever on your salary or proposed salary? And in negotiations with them on the part-time person, or is it this board's job to say, we approve of your part-time position, which then goes to the commission? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's kind of like this, like, who are you meeting with to talk about, like, it sounds like you are obviously advocating for a salary increase or to go back on hourly. It's not this board's decision to do that, but we can't make a decision on this budget until that is done, whether they give you a thumbs up or thumbs down on how that affects this budget. Does
We
that
can
make
still
sense?
do recommend, we can recommend, anything, but any salary type thing, I mean, that's a director's
Correct.
role, not ours. So
Yeah.
we can't really say, I mean, we can say yes, you know.
But we need that for the budget if we're going to recommend it in the next, at the next meeting.
Yeah.
We need that number.
Well, but it's all, yeah, and it's also a director kind of position, where there is, in lieu of a director, there's not really.
Yeah, so that'd be Mark Shiner, is that
That's a
who's,
Mark-
that's who's to go to this, we kind of need that before we do this, that.
I mean,
I recommend you put your numbers down for what your wish list is, with your, whatever you hear from HR. Plus the part-time position and put it in there, cause that'll give us a hard number to,
right, you're saying instead of the 2
Yeah,
Six at
instead
the
of, just put
bottom.
the number in there and,
268.
build it out to what it is and let's see what happens.
right,
Yeah, that, you have like 48 plus, 3,700, so that's what, 53 or 52 or something
I'm not a mathematician, I'm a
52,000.
creative, which
in
is
that budget, saying,
53,
then that's us saying, we approve.
and
the
then,
budget
right,
including that.
and then I need to get what
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
HR would recommend for a salary. Just
Right.
at any time, but
Yeah.
it is.
And I had another question on the $1,000 that you guys are kind of talking about that. I'm like, just out of curiosity, is it like common for the Moab Monument Valley Film Commission to put in public notices for casting calls for film companies? Shouldn't that be there? Shouldn't they be paying for ads, looking for casting?
Yeah, but I do it for it's more for the community, because if you get the job in the movie, then it's for, I mean, they get the people they need, but we get the locals involved. So I do it as a,
But in other places, how does that work?
I don't even, in other places, there's actual casting directors. I'm
Right.
acting as a casting director, even though it's not really part of my job description.
But I could see like
So-
some movie coming and saying, hey, you have these connections, we're gonna give you $1,000 to put in ads for casting calls.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't put an ad in, then I would probably just do it on social media and it would just come out of it would be my time. You know what I mean? I mean, I hear what you're saying,
Yeah,
but, they've brought casting directors down.
I guess
for-
$1,000 is not much to spend to get a feature film report, but anyways.
And with regard to the ATV thing, I think, wouldn't it be easier to just Jason and Lori or whoever have a government rate to be able to rent when you need them, rather than having to pay for the insurance and have I don't know where you're gonna store it, it's 4x4, you can just, I'm sure that in these ATV, or if you have Jeeps, but if you need a Jeep or an ATV, just rent it and get a government rate,
It's just
rather than
so,
insurance.
I mean, to me, it's more frequent than that, and it is not set up like this. I just got a call on Sunday, and I take calls on Sunday.
Yeah.
That I have this beverage company coming in on Thursday night to go scouting. These guys are gonna have a vehicle out, you know what I mean? It's like, sometimes there's future notice and sometimes there's not, but to have a vehicle that's sitting available in the lot for me to access, I mean,
I'm talking about
I don't wanna
the
talk about
four
this.
by four lease.
I'm not, the 4x4, I'm not talking about an ATV. I'm talking about like a
Oh, okay.
like a vehicle that can fit,
Like an
you know, Mr. Costner, his first AD, second AD, that won't slide me off the road on steel bender like the last vehicle did. You know, like,
Switch started.
um,
It seems, I mean, I would just say it seems very appropriate for you to have your own vehicle as the county commission. And if the club opposite doors.
I'm thinking ATV, I saw 4x4, I don't know why in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about a high clearance. The vehicle that we have right now has literally less than a foot clearance in the front of it now, the Expedition, and, I've been talking to the roads department about a similar vehicle to like what the sheriff's department has, some kind of a Bronco that has high clearance and can fit 4 people in and get us out on Hurrah Pass, Mineral Bottom. And to, you know, take it in the dirt as well as drive it on road, on the highway. Which, yes.
Yeah.
Jason, what's a typical vehicle for that?
Well, you know, like you could rent a Jeep from Enterprise for probably 200 a day, you know, for like us and like Twisted, most companies in town are 325.
And,
Yeah, 350, that's, you know, with a lift kit, big tires, and so. Like a Bronco's probably rent per day, but
Yeah, that's per day.
that's per day, yeah, so it would be
Less
cheap,
than a
it would
month.
be cheaper to lease one, you know.
And we have
Well,
lease agreements with, through the county, obviously, through Enterprise. They
Yeah.
have a fleet agreement and, you know, they do have vehicles that are going out of service soon. And I literally just looked at an old sheriff's pickup truck today when I was out at the roads department fueling up. And, you know, I'm willing to take an older vehicle. It doesn't have to be like a sparkly thing. It's just literally about having the capacity to do what I know the job entails. And I'm out often by myself. And the safety of that is really, I mean, I have had flat tires going up Onion Creek and, you know, guy came luckily with a sledgehammer to help me like change a tire, like things, you know, it's you know, it's part of the job. But that's why I want to do woofer too. So I can fix my own broken finger.
And the Walk of Fame thing also fits in kind of, you know, the museum, Jason, you sent us have a similar idea of doing historical markers, so it might be something that we look at, you know, in our next meeting about. I don't know.
Right, I think part of Star Wars also, it's pretty.
Star Hall and the mix about to get, I think you're gonna pavement that
Yeah.
potentially first.
We are, that's happening
And I,
soon, so.
yeah, so I need to find a design. Michael Black asked me to put together some numbers for that, but again, I've been busy, so.
Lori McFarland, do you have any questions, comments? Rebecca? Anybody out there?
I think that you guys have asked all of the good questions and we need a director.
Yeah.
I have one more question. You know, on this list of film festivals that you go to,
Mhm.
what have been the best producers?
Say what?
What have been the best producers?
What have been the best producers?
So where have you gotten the best contacts that have brought in the most shows?
You know, well. You can't, there's no such thing as immediate return on investment for these things,
No,
but
but-
thus far.
But I mean, if I mean, like, I know that there's a list of shows that I go to and I could tell you the ones that I get, that I make the best contacts for, or usually I end up having the best luck. I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Where do you think the best ones are that you've seen there?
The international ones primarily, and then the location managers, that I just did, but Cannes Film Festival annually. Sundance. The AFCI Symposium stuff and Focus that I'm going to in December are the ones that I have been going to. Some of these on the list are newer ones that I haven't been to, but it's the same. We're talking about expanding it into more European, market, and I mean, I have a guy that I'm speaking to that I met at Cannes about
So my follow-up question on that
Sure.
is, are those the shows that we're sponsoring?
Are there shows that we're sponsoring? I'm working with,
Because I'm just saying, like, let's say that the IPW, like for our was a big promoter or a big producer for me. I would think that, wow, this is a show that I do really well at. I would want to make sure that I'm more visible at it.
correct,
Like
so
that.
yes, so at
So
Sundance,
I'm
I'm
just wondering
working,
if that's
I'm
the-
working in tandem with, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off. Apologies. I'm working with Montana for this January at Sundance Film Festival. We're doing a collaboration. We have 3 full days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Treasure Island. For very low cost signage and all that to have a presence at Sundance with some other film commissions, so yes. The other film Berlinale, I have not yet, but I hope to go next February and to have a presence. If Film USA goes, that would be another collaboration as part of the Association of US Film Commissioners. We are all talking about where to activate. Activation is like the key word in the world of film now, of like where, what is best for all of us to work together. So Ken, I'm part of a pavilion that is the Film USA Pavilion, and that has been great exposure, and I have been on panels in all of these places.
That was at Cannes, you've sponsored.
I sponsored Cannes, and that was a big one, right? And then I also, the Film Commission won location, didn't win, we got the second runner up for location of the year at Cannes, that was a pretty big deal. But New York, I actually haven't, I'm a New Yorker, born and raised, and I actually haven't done a lot of film stuff there, and it's been a big topic, and I think that I do need to actually expand. I mean, that's sort of like my entire previous existence in the film industry exists there and Los Angeles, and those are really good markets as well. So yes.
I'm not familiar with it, so I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
My main question is basically the film or the festivals that are productive for you, are you all basically allotting more money or sponsoring booths at that spot? Or are the others, like, do you have a plan for your sponsorships?
That's why the rates are higher in my estimates, like at Focus, is to have a booth and that also unfortunately includes the flights and per diem and everything in that, but like the more people that buy into these booths, the less the cost of it is.
Yeah, I got that part, but it's just like, I imagine like you sponsor a lunch or you sponsor like a Treasure Island or something like that.
And I don't have a lot of,
there's.
I hate the word discretionary fund to do those things, or even honestly, to be
You did have-
taking people to lunch is a massive part of this job, and I don't want to use the word discretionary, there was another word. So I'm calling it familiarization.
Called schmoozing.
Schmooze, I need a schmooze fund, but there's no liquor involved in schmooze funding, I know that,
You
but
don't have to, you can take them to a ball game, you can
It's almost 5 o'clock, so
Okay.
we have any further questions with it? Because we need to go one last thing, yep.
Just want to mention one thing that the county commission should be aware of. The deadline for last year's report is due on October 1st. Upstate, that's the expenditure list for 2024. I just want to put that out there. That's next week. And I would request that we can review that in our next board meeting, because we're obviously not going to be able to do it before that deadline. But that is October 1st is the deadline to send that report upstate for 2024's mitigation and basically the report that you send. I just don't want the county to be late on that.
I'll look into it.
So what do you want before our next meeting in relation to this is really the question, right? October 14th is our next meeting.
Tyner on where you're at
Okay.
and in that position. Can we just approve the position? Can we just? Can we say like,
Recommend.
no, or can we recommend putting into this budget $50,000 to, for part-time? Like,
I'd put that in there for our approval next month.
And that's gonna come down to a potentially a director coming in.
Thanks, Rebecca. She's saying good. Oh,
Bye.
Bye.
it's a good question. I think it's global to this process. We presented our budgets. We can amend them. We took notes, but I guess if there's any follow-up, we can send it through.
I have one question when you have a minute. Mick.
Make those changes and then we'll add it to the packet and then it will be approved at the next board meeting and it would be a part of the motion if there are further changes. Does that work?
Yes, Lori.
My question is, while we're thinking about income, this is Moab to Monument Valley. Is there any contribution from the city of Moab or from San Juan County for any of this promotion? Just curious.
Not from the city. Used to be when the film commission was at the city was the county matched it. So there's nothing that comes from the city at this point, but from San Juan County, yes, it's usually about $5,000 a year. It's not a lot, but it's enough to keep them on the logo. And I'd have to say that most of the work is we still call Dead Horse Point Grand County, even though it's not. So it's still, we're representing San Juan County, even though a lot of the locations are considered not. So to me, it's, but yeah, they don't have a huge, that's my answer. Yeah, 5,000 from San Juan.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Vika. And really quickly, so the letter of recommendation is attached from last year for 2025 recommendations to the commission for the promotion as well as mitigation. Now we tried to set up a new process this year with the application. So far, we've received one back from solid waste. Since it is a new process, I dare say we're not going to get 100% of everybody putting in applications this year because it's brand new. We tried, and I think, next year we'll have everything in place, but we need to talk about what that looks like in lieu of not getting applications from all the mitigation people. So last year for mitigation, it was a pretty broad recommendation from them of what was it? I don't think I found this even here. Is it on this letter? It was on the other one. I don't have the first page of it. Sorry. How do we want this process to work in lieu of not receiving applications? And I wasn't here last year. I wasn't part of the board. Neither was Cora. So, we don't know what process that was, Jason, Alex, in terms of how that letter came about and who brought it to the board. Who created it? Was it the board that came up with the whole list?
Yeah, I feel like it was Brian Hunnings who put that all together.
What's that?
Brian Hunnings.
The chair
Brian.
at the time, Brian Hunnings, put it together, and then it was discussed in a number of different meetings because there was a lot of different changes in the percentages that certain things could have and use, and then so it was
Right.
and then you guys voted on it as a board.
So just making sure that we're in compliance with HB 456 and mitigation, and yes, who's on this committee with me, the subcommittee? Howard, you're on the subcommittee with me, I think, with regard to TRT application.
For the,
What's that?
for what?
The TRT mitigation
I
application?
believe so.
Yeah.
You say so then.
Is somebody else on it as well? Because we were gonna look at the incoming applications and bring to the board and kind of all of the applications, and I don't think we're gonna have all of that before the next board meeting.
So does this have to be into the county by October first?
We need to have basically a recommendation from this board, next meeting, to be able to present to the commission, or present our own letter to the commission, in our next meeting. And what those recommendations look like in terms of mitigation and promotion. Promotion's somewhat easy because we've discussed this today. That is, we have discussed what we are gonna be spending promotion on, so that's not a big deal. Mitigation at this stage, we can do very generic like they did in the last one in terms of, TRCCA, we're not discussing today right now because we're not a little unsure, but in terms of, law enforcement, now that I know that in the, actual spend,
Yeah.
there were some very specific requests from EMS for 300,000 for, the new ambulance. There were some very specific requests. We haven't received anything to date from anyone.
Well, I think one thing that would be good, is to get something from Gabe as to what was given, what the money, if it did, what went to last year.
HB 456, it's all on them, exactly, so.
No,
Star Hall
No,
got
that's
from
not
TRC.
No, what was actually what they got. Because if I remember right, last year.
The request versus the receipt.
Received, because.
That's
Was it?
that's what I'm trying to tell you. So if you look at your request letter,
Mhm.
and then you look at the little presentation right here, it shows exactly what each person received. So out of TRCCA, Star Hall received 21,459. Out of the same thing, the airport received 650,000.
It's not.
Costa received 747,000, and then the fireworks received 18,000.
It's on the packet of.
Oh.
Yeah.
Information.
Yeah,
Allie, could you pull it up?
No, okay, yeah, I was just.
yeah, so I had that on there, so that's all.
A lot of the
broken down.
recommendations were not taken.
There it is, right there, that's what was.
So they were, it was recommended by the
Okay.
board, but it wasn't a pre-application.
Right, that's what, yeah.
So these were the actuals.
Right.
Not so a lot of the recommendations did
And
not.
that's what I was kind of curious, like,
Yeah.
of what recommendations was actually funded, so.
The promotion stuff was,
So-
for the most part, I think, in terms of, individual line items but then. Yeah. So TRT is the middle end, so law enforcement, solid, so.
I know like Moab City asked for 200,000 to help with the pool, which was not funded. And
Airport is TRCCA.
yeah,
Can I ask a question for next year's budget? It looks like we only have $4.5 million of mitigation funds available, so we have to work within those parameters, right? So
Correct.
that might mean some cuts to certain people requests to fit that number.
well, yeah,
Just to be clear.
yeah, it's always, there's always two, because when I talked to Gabe about this last year. There's historical things that have been in here for a long time that will remain in here, and that's why a lot of the stuff doesn't get. We can recommend that it gets funded, but it's not gonna get recommended and funded because it's been other things have been historically funded under this. That makes sense. So there's just not enough money to. Go, so and that's why I'm just kind of curious, like, I wonder if some people aren't requesting because.
Well, in terms of the tourism expenditures, I think we've kind of got that down today, when we have final budgets in next week's meeting that are recommended by the board officially, we can use that as our recommendation. In terms of the mitigation, we should by that point have more applications in. If not, then we can use a very generic, what we feel is gonna be a law enforcement search and rescue.
Where are the applications available at?
They have been advertised by Dana, by the city, by the county. And Dana is, as she receives them, are sending them through to us.
So it's only solid
Today, she's
waste.
only received from solid waste.
So the sheriff needs to kind of put his request in.
Well, because
Does the
you
sheriff
didn't need to.
I mean,
Yeah, you did.
Hey, those are ones
Didn't you
that
put it
look like
down?
historically funded.
For
I
TRT for
would
promotion.
ask to put
Oh,
up,
okay. Never mind.
they sent it to me and said, please fill this out,
Oh,
and I
okay.
said, okay, yeah, was I not
So,
supposed to?
I know that Scott from, Search and Rescue like to submit.
Yeah.
an application.
I mean,
And he was, when the last I talked with him, he's like, where do I find it?
Piece of paper.
I said what?
He didn't know
County,
where to
the
get.
county emailed it.
Apparently it's been advertised, or no, Dana
You
told me.
Dana sent.
And I
it
didn't-
all.
All from.
Dana sent the form to all department
I
heads.
sent
it's all
them a
departments.
copy as well.
Okay,
So
he's got,
it.
Should have,
Yeah.
okay.
We can ask for a follow-up, if you'd like.
He's on there, you can ask him if he has it.
When is it due? Is there a due date?
It was
Maybe the
due
department
as soon
head
as
is not
possible.
sticking around, so I don't know.
And so there's two reasons for
What's that?
this, guys, as well.
I don't know if Scott would be considered a department head.
I'm not, I sent it in, I'm not a department head.
No, I'm just saying,
Oh.
it went out to an email blast and only department heads. Scott might not have received it.
I can speak to that. After I requested that from Brian, I got Brian to email me that form. And then shortly thereafter, Dana had emailed everyone with that same form. So I did indeed get that, and I would be considered a department head.
I didn't know you were there. There you
Yeah.
speaks.
Great. Okay, so basically, yeah, it was emailed out to anyone who was available to be able to
Yeah.
apply for mitigation.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thanks,
We just
Scott.
want to make sure that everybody gets, you know, all the money that they need.
When do you want this by?
Including
There's
it.
not a date, so we can ask her to follow up. Do you need it
Maybe a reminder from Dana. I can send her, we need
Prior
to
to the
file.
next meeting.
before,
Yeah.
like a week before?
Yeah. Well, the next meeting is on October 14th.
Okay.
So it would be great if we could get it by the, well, maybe the Wednesday before that. Sounds the next Wednesday, I suppose. Right.
And the meeting on October 14th is
Pardon me?
this, but the actual voting recommendation things.
That's on October
So
14th.
I have to say no to the panel I'm supposed to be on and be here
What's that?
physically. I have to not go to the panel I'm supposed to be on in Price about film and be here. Okay. Yeah.
No, you don't. I mean,
I think there's one more thing that we need to remember, and I might be misinterpreting some of the conversation, but the state statute specifically says that we have a responsibility to make recommendations, and if we don't recommend those departments, even if that's done historically, then the commission can't really consider them. That I may have not read right, but that's one of the reasons we attach the state statute, so everybody can be on the same page and we can all be well informed.
Big gun.
okay.
I'm not positive with the TRT, but I do know for the TRCCA, right, the mitigations need to be approved to be used by this board. For the county to use TRCCA for mitigation funds.
Is that what you're referring to, Lori?
Thanks. Yeah, yes. Thanks for clarifying that, Brian.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. It's 5:12. Oh, did you have something else? Oh, I'm gonna call this meeting to an end. Thank you very much. Thank you, Biga, Ali, and Nick for all your work on the budgets.
Thank you. If any of you have businesses and want to put up a poster for Moab, this is just, registration is open. Make a movie, short movie, and you can see it at Star Hall on November 15th.